In this house, we have committees that work in different issues. We have political groups, which are MEPs that unite in different political sensibilities. And we also have the so-called intergroups. The intergroups basically are groups of members of parliament that unite to work a certain issue. For instance, we have an intergroup on public services. We have an intergroup of solidarity with Cuba, for instance. So this means that in a certain topic, some MEPs come together to work together in that particular topic. And in the last mandature, there was a manifesto drafted and prepared by many MEPs saying that there was an intergroup needed to defend common goods. And that is why we have created this mandate, an intergroup on common goods, and we have members of parliament from the Social Democrats, from the Socialists, from the EFDD, from the GUE, from the Greens. So we have many members that are now in one group. We meet every plenary in Strasbourg to develop the agenda of the common good. So what are we doing for the moment? We are doing two things. Firstly, the first thing and most important thing, we have started to create links with civil society. This is a bit what we're doing today, so that the platforms and the institutional representatives we are in dialogue. And secondly, we have started to introduce the concept of common good inside the daily work of the parliament. So we table amendments together in some reports. For instance, we had a common amendment saying that water is a common good, and we have presented together this amendment in plenary in some resolution. So we started to introduce the concept inside the legislative and the normal work of the parliament. That's the main role of the intergroup right now. The whole economic strategy in the last years at European level has failed. We come from years of austerity, of privatization programs, where very basic needs of the population are now challenged. We have people in Europe right now that have no access to water, no access to electricity, no access to the basic needs of a human being. And of course we need to change completely this paradigm. One of the things that we need to do is to get back to the common management of certain goods and provisions that are essential for life. And that is why I believe that the whole movement of the common goods that has been developing in Europe, defending water, defending natural resources, also the digital goods and all kinds of goods, all these platforms that have been created, they need to come and unite together at European level to create this new narrative. I think we are talking here about a proposal to change completely how we address the economy and how to address the way we develop our societies. That is why this meeting, I think, is very important, because we have managed to get all these platforms together, and what we want to do is basically to establish a working permanent link with the members of this house. In this parliament we have created the so-called intergroup on common goods, which means that we have many members of the European Parliament that are working together to develop the common goods agenda. And what we wanted to do is to create this link with the movement, so together we can start pushing in the official agenda of the EU institutions, in legislation, in resolutions, in all the work that does the Parliament, the concept of common goods and all the ideas we defend. I think this is really the challenge now, to take all these energies at the grassroots level and to take it to the policy level. And this is the meaning of this assembly, and that's the reason why I believe it's very important. We have, for instance, we have been discussing for years the situation if we take Greece. We know that there has been a whole movement of the common goods to defend water as a common good. We have had a referendum even in Salonika, where there were people defending that water should be a public utility. And the problem is that we continue with the policies of privatization of water, for instance. The institutions and also from Brussels are pushing the Greek government to go on with the privatization of water, and this is totally wrong, because we know what happens when an elemental issue like water gets in private hands. So that is why the policies are going in a totally opposite direction, and that is why we need to organize ourselves and to stop this process and to stop all the process of privatization of these common goods and to get back to a public agenda.